All right, guys, we're back. We're back. We are in chapter 8 of Judges, and last time we spoke was about chapter 7 in with Gideon and his 300 men, and now we are in chapter 8, and we're going to be following through with the rest of that story. And I think I'm going to start in verse 4 of chapter 8. And Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint, yet pursuing them. And he said unto the men of Succoth, Give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, kings of Midian. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand, that we should give the bread unto thine army? And Gideon said, Therefore, when the Lord hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into mine hand, then I will tear your flesh with thorns of the wilderness and with briars. And he went up thence to Peniel, and spake unto them likewise. And the men of Peniel answered him as the men of Succoth had answered him. And he spake also unto the men of Peniel, saying, When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor, and their hosts with them about 15,000 men, all that were left all the hosts of the children of the east, for thou fell 120,000 men that drew sword. All right, and I want to cross-reference that verse 9. And he spake also unto the men of Peniel, saying, When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. And he confirms that in verse 17. And he, Gideon, beat down the tower of Peniel and slew the men of the city. There you have it. And we are going to continue on with verse 18 here. Then said he unto Zebah and Zalmunna, What manner of men were they whom ye slew at Tabor? And they answered, As thou art, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a king. And he said, They were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. As the Lord liveth, if he had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And he said unto Jether his firstborn, Up, and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, Rise thou, and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose, and slew Zebah and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments that were on their camels' necks. That's a man who did exactly what he said he was going to do. Right there. And we're going to continue on here. On verse 23, and Gideon said unto them, we'll start with verse 22. Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, Rule over us, both thou and thy son's son also, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you. Now that's a man of God right there. That's a God-fearing man right there. That doesn't, because I mean that would have been easy for him to just be prideful and be like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll rule. I'll take that. But he didn't. He gave the glory to God, and he said, no, God will rule over you, not me. You won't answer to me, you'll answer to God. And that's what everybody will do. When it comes our day to answer for everything that we've done, we're all going to answer to God. And we'll continue on reading here. In verse 27, it says, And Gideon made an ephod, therefore, and put his city even in Ophrah, and all Israel went thither a whoring after it, which thing became a snare unto Gideon and his house, and to his house. And an ephod is, I read it down here. An ephod is a short outer garment. It was of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen. It consisted of two pieces, front and back, united by two shoulder straps by a band about the bottom, two onyx stones set in gold, and engraved with the names of the 12 tribes of Israel were on the shoulders. That's what an ephod is. And we'll just just continue reading here. Verse 28, thus was Midian subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more, and the country was in the quietness 40 years in the days of Gideon. And Jerubbaal the son of Joash went and dwelt in his own. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. And his concubine was in Shechem. She also bare him a son, whose name he called Abimelech. And Gideon the son of Joash died in good old age, and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash his father in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. And Abimelech is he's the son of the judge Gideon. And here we'll finish up in verse 33. It says, and it came to pass, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel turned again and went a-whoring after Balaam, and made Baal-berith their god. And the children of Israel remembered not the Lord their God, who had delivered them out of the hands of all their enemies on every side. Neither showed they kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, namely Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had showed unto Israel. Does that sound familiar? That sounds like good old US of A. You know, all the tragedies we've ever had in America have all been, we've all had like a spiritual awakening, if you will. You know, World War II, Pearl Harbor, all that stuff. You know, the people generally came back and was searching God out, because they all understood that God was the only one that could bring them out of this, you know, bring them out of this hurt, out of this pain, out of this stress of life. And